Hey everybody, how's it going? My name's Nick. Pleasure to meet you. I'm a supervisor here for the customer success team, as well as the one of the PSMs that we have. I'm really excited today to share everything that I know with you guys in terms of this presentation. I was actually integral in building it with the particular vendor that this was built for. So I got a lot of great insight for you guys today, and I'm really excited to get going. And why don't we do that now? It's just about 1 o'clock. Let's go ahead and do that. So if you draw your attention to the screen here, on the first page, it's pretty easy to set up. We'll make this file available for you guys afterwards as well. So that way you guys have the PowerPoint version of it and you can make edits. Anywhere where you see Aqua Text, that's really where we want you guys to go in and personalize it for whether or not your brand or the client's brand, particularly that we're going to cover during this presentation. The presentation is not very long. It's give or take about 16 slides in all, and there's probably like 5 filler slides, and there's one instructional slide that I didn't show you guys, but we essentially cover like how to edit the theme and slides of this presentation. So on this first page, what you're going to do is you're going to insert the client logo right in the middle. We have this wonderful tagline called leveraging mobile solutions to grow your business. If you guys want to put something else there, you're more than welcome to, but a lot of people really tend to like that vernacular, for lack of a better term, and that phrase really seems to resonate with a lot of small businesses. At the bottom right-hand corner, go ahead and put your company logo. If you want to put them on every page at the bottom right-hand corner, go for it. The more branding you guys can kind of add for yourselves in this presentation, the better, but we also want to pay high attention to the clients. We just don't want it to overshadow it. In terms of the next slide, the next 3 slides the next 2 that precede this, apologies guys, we're really mystery shopping the client. So the big thing is that right off of the bat, we want to tell the client where they're at. We do this by doing a really simple Google search. In this particular example, our client was Superfood Coffee. They are a B2B, which is business to business, and a B2C, business to consumer model company here in local San Diego. Their B2C model is primarily farmers markets. And they didn't have a Google My Business profile, which allows you to appear in the local pack. And that's the listing you see right below the map on the Google searches. The key with this slide and what we wanted to do is we wanted to highlight how they're ranking, who they're ranking against, and who's beating them in terms of rank. There's 2 different scenarios you're always going to have with this particular page. You're going to have clients that rank in the Google local pack, and you have clients who do not rank at all. So for the clients who do not rank at all, just like Superfood, we wanted to highlight particularly who's ranking above them and how they're ranking. At the bottom left-hand corner here, you'll see the words, "Are you found over your competitors?" and the numbers 1, 2, 3. This is where we list the exact Google search terms that we use to be able to find them in this local packs above. We particularly highlighted Dark Horse Coffee Roasters and I think Zumbar Coffee and Tea just because of their business models. Believe it or not, Dark Horse Coffee Roasters was one of the companies that they were endorsing on their Instagram page. They got this big like local thing going on. So it was really interesting to kind of see that. And somebody that they were promoting was beating them in a local SEO search. Local SEO is probably one of the best ways to get found. Believe it or not, I look everything up before I go to it. I was building a bed the other day and I needed an L bracket, and I literally looked up where to buy an L bracket in the place that I live. And rather than sending me to my local hardware store, which was, half a mile away, it sent me to a Home Depot that was 30 minutes away. So these small businesses are competing in areas where they really need to make sure that they are found quickly on a device. The particular image that you're looking at in terms of the local pack, that is what is highly visible on a user's device. So whether or not you're on an Android or an iOS or a Windows phone or even one of the new Blackberries, like this is what's going to come up when you do a Google search. So you really want to show the client where they are found. This is really important. Emphasis again, you want to tackle those who rank differently. So if they're showing up in the local pack, awesome. I would give them a pat on the back, a high five. I would say, you guys are doing so great with all these search terms. How'd you do it? Because you really want to amplify that process and say, well, we're going to make sure that you stay at the top with some of the stuff we're going to look at later within the presentation here. And if they're not ranking, just like Superfood, We want to go in there and say, hey, a lot of people are kicking your butt. We definitely got to optimize this page and start getting reviews for you. And you'll see later, they have a large client base to pull from. On this next slide, this is slide 2 of like the mystery shopping exercise, right? This is what people say about, and then this is where you would insert your client name. In this case, once again, we're going to use the Superfood example. Superfood did not have any reviews on Facebook or on Google My Business or any other sites. The only ones they had was Yelp. What do we know about Yelp, guys? Yelp and small businesses do not like each other. Yelp actually charges to be able to release reviews, and it gets a little ridiculous because for a lot of businesses, that's a big pain point with them. They just want to be able to be found, and that's why a lot of them set up these Yelp pages. In Superfood's case, this was it. They wanted to set up a page to be able to be found, and you'll notice here at the top left picture, it's like the North Park, Little Italy, and Hillcrest. These were 3 of the 8 farmers markets that they're at. It's funny, they didn't even own these. So in Yelp, you can have a client make one for you, or you can actually create your own business profile and own that profile. So one of our comments later on was, you need to own this profile. You need to keep it. You need to take control over that one. By putting a lot of reviews on Yelp, we would be able to essentially take back the brand and the ownership of the brand. So that way, when people leave negative reviews, those aren't the only things that show up. Particularly on this slide, because they only had one set of reviews to show from, we only showed these 3, and all 3 of them were good, but the bottom left-hand corner, we wanted to really highlight. We shared how a person wrote that they had walked by and they never knew who they were after several visits of going to the farmer's market. But once they realized, like, oh my gosh, this product's amazing, they were like, you have to go. So this is a big win for a lot of clients. There was another particular reseller that I was working with and doing this presentation for earlier last week, and we were looking at a particular coffee shop. And on their Google My Business page, just past the business information, Google always gives you like 3 reviews before it allows you to see more of them if you don't click the stars and reviews at the top. And there was this really terrible 1-star review right below, I think it was 1 4-star and 1 5-star review. And those were pretty good. But the 1-star review was written by a person who was handicapped, who was having trouble getting her latte. So much so that she had to send her son in on her behalf. The employees weren't accepting the coupon that she had given her son for whatever reason. It was a really terrible experience. Like, reading that review really made us feel really sad for this particular client. 2 people somewhere in Google had marked that review as helpful. When people mark things as helpful, that means they've read the review and they completely agree with it. Public perception is reality for a lot of your clients. So whether or not the place actually smells like garbage is subjective, but the fact that it's written on the internet, people are going to assume all day long that that place smells like garbage. With this particular review, the lady was like, I had no help. I couldn't get out of the car to be able to get the latte myself. I had to send my son in there, and it was a really traumatizing experience. The fact that 2 people liked it and thought it was essentially helpful means it's going to stay there for a long time. And it had sat there for 5 months. Nobody had made a comment to them. Nobody had said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for your experience. And that's another thing we drew here. Obviously, because Superfood didn't own these Yelp profiles, they're not allowed to be proactive with their reviews. Being proactive with your reviews means that you are able to respond to all good and all bad reviews. So for the good ones, acknowledge, hey, thank you so much. For the bad ones, acknowledge the issues that they experienced and move forward and kind of help resolve them, whether or not it be like having them come back for a discount or whatever it may be. These are points to kind of take notice when you're reading reviews, because you really want to show the client the important reviews that really emphasize their brand. In Superfood's case and in that previous coffee place, we showed them reviews that really spoke volumes about them. Because remember, we're mystery shopping these people. These first 3 slides are all about perception, what people think of them. Next slide. is who is, and then it's the client name. So this slide's not necessarily tricky, but it is pretty basic and simple. So here we want to identify the brand. So who is this particular client? So who is Superfood? We highlighted 2 sections. You can highlight a whole lot more here. You don't have to be confined to just their Facebook or their Instagram. They may not have an Instagram. They may have a Twitter that's really good. They may not have anything there, and draw attention upon that. But going back to Superfood's example, with this particular Facebook page, you notice that a couple things are off. There's no reviews. So typically under where it says send message, right about the middle of that screenshot in bright blue on the right-hand side, there's a little box that's cut out and it has 5 stars. It normally says like, hey, X amount of stars and X amount of reviews. They didn't activate that at all. They have 770 people who follow their page on Facebook. So we obviously said, hey guys, like you need to step it up and actually turn reviews on and start being a little bit more active on your Facebook page in terms of garnering some followers. That particular brand image that they hold is wasted if that 770 people aren't being leveraged in every post that they do. Your social media should have a typical campaign or some type of outcome that you're searching for, something that you want in return. And this is something you can work on the clients with. This is also something that you can show them. So right off the bat, we showed them that their Facebook was really being underutilized, even though it was a great brand presence for them. Now, their Instagram, they have 17,000 followers. These people are fanatics about Superfood. Absolute fanatics. They constantly engage on all their posts. I think they have some really high engagement rates, which is really great. They're a really great marketing team. The CEO and his wife, who's the head of marketing, do a really fantastic job with it. And you'll notice here that we highlighted that fact. There's 2 images in there we'll talk about later, but it's the t-shirt on the right where it says Superheroes Drink Superfood Coffee, and the gentleman on the skateboard on the left where he's wearing a shirt. I don't think you all are able to see it, but it says, I'm a ginger pirate. You'll notice that in the description of the business in the top right underneath where it says X amount of followers, there's a hashtag ginger pirate. So we're playing on a brand. We also wanted to be able to leverage their Instagram followers. So whether or not it's doing an Instagram post that says, hey guys, give some love to our Facebook page, here's the QR code or here's the URL, like go ahead and follow us and leave us some love about our product. Most businesses don't realize that their reach is sometimes a lot larger than it really is. In this case, they have, I think they had upwards of like 1,000 something Twitter followers, and they had, give or take, they had 770 Facebook followers. So you add another, almost 1,800 followers to the 17,000 plus. I think it's probably a lot higher now. They gain followers pretty steadily. You look at the reach they have with 18,000 people, and you start to talk about their brand and how important it is and how engaged people are. Like that's a brand that people want to be a part of, and they want to continue to buy and purchase product to and from. So on this particular slide, once again, credibility is really important. Who is the client that you're looking at? What are people saying about them? How are they leveraging their followers? Are they leveraging their followers the way they should? You also want to use this page later on in the presentation to help identify key branding. If your client does not have a brand or its brand does not have a voice, that is okay. Let them know that. If they don't have a Facebook page, if they don't have anything on social media, I put a big old sad face on this slide and say, I don't know who you are, because there's nothing on the internet that explains who you are. There's nothing that gives your brand a voice. Don't be afraid to give some clients some bad news. If you're going to be a trusted advisor for them, especially a mobile advisor, which is what you all want to be, you got to give them the good and you got to give them the bad. So that completes the 3 slides wherein we talk about the mystery shopping, right? We have the where is, we have the what people say, and then we have the who is. So this transition slide, we're talking about beat your competition, leveraging new mobile solutions. So that transitions now into the second part of this presentation, wherein now we're going to identify what key parts of the mobile app are solutions for the problems that they're experiencing, or how it's going to improve certain operational functions of the business. you'll see the lovely lady carrying the kegs of their product on the left-hand side. That's actually the co-founder of the company. And when we were in like the discovery process and first trying to like feel them out a little bit, she talked about how when they would go to farmers markets, they would have so much product left over. And she really wished there was an easy way to communicate and alert people that they were running out of inventory to create a demand for it, and that they were running a promotion for the last hour, so that way they can go home with empty kegs. So what we did here is we put that right into our presentation. Empty those kegs. Real-time control in your pocket. We emphasize Skipper here. If Skipper is not something you already emphasize to your clients, you should draw their attention to it pretty quickly. Not only is Skipper absolutely fantastic for like push notifications and viewing analytics and how loyalty is being used on the application, but the fact that you're able to send out push notifications wherever you're at and you don't have to do it from the CMS, that's pretty important. That's pretty key. You're giving somebody a mobile business solution for their company, which is like invaluable in my mind. There's a couple articles that have recently been coming out on like a couple LinkedIn social media groups, and it's all about how push notification marketing is so important nowadays, and they have such high engagement, and they help keep people using the particular application because they get those push notifications. So once again, we emphasized empty those kegs, real-time control in your pocket. And that was pretty key. Also, please note that these next 5 slides, including this one, you can change them out as need be. I have plenty of clients who have needed different verticals where Skipper may not be the best thing they want to jump into right away, but maybe they want to highlight like reservations or food ordering. That's perfectly fine. There is nothing wrong with that. So these next 5 slides are kind of interchangeable as need be. Just know you kind of have the template based out so that you can accomplish that. The second slide in the second section is called Ideas for Push Notes to Enhance Your Superfood Campaigns. Once again, we're modifying the presentation to the client's brand. We're personalizing it. I don't think I can stress that enough throughout this entire presentation, that you want to have these presentations as personable and as customized as possible for your client. If they feel like you've done your research and you've really looked into them, they're going to be so endeared to you that when we get toward the end, when we start talking about their investment, it's going to be a lot less painful for them to see that dollar amount. So with these push notification ideas, we looked at their social media. They were a gold mine because they have a really good brand and they're very, very good marketers. I like to draw your attention to the middle one, to be able to say, you know, hey, the Pacific Beach Market, which is one of the farmers markets they go to, is such a beautiful farmers market. If you're ever available on Tuesday before 7, you know, definitely come and check it out. If you guys ever received that on your phone, you'd want to go there, wouldn't you? So same thing with their clients. They want to be able to notify them, and that goes back to the previous slide where we talked about emptying the kegs. So again, you see the correlation with their business. If your client doesn't have any social media that allows you to create these easy campaigns, draw into what they're doing. If they're a coffee shop, go in there and try and find a way to do like a Latte Friday, or maybe there's a certain cause that's at the heart of that coffee shop that you want to take a look out for. Maybe it's you know, creating baskets for the military. How many times have I walked into Starbucks and they've had baskets out there for provisions for the military, but I never knew. And I have the Starbucks app and I never receive anything that tells me that they're doing it. All it is it's sitting in the corner in the store. No employees mention it, nothing like that. Find something with their brand and use it to your advantage in creating this stuff. If you're not comfortable with this slide, replace it with something else that you're comfortable with. Maybe highlight another feature that you think is going to be really key, or maybe there was something you came up in your discovery phase with them where you're like, oh, they're really going to like this. Like, this is really great. Just remember that push notification campaigns are probably going to be something you're going to want to employ with them from the marketing perspective once they get the app going. So you definitely want to have at least something in mind for what you're doing. On this slide, we highlighted the advanced loyalty programs for your coffee superheroes. If you guys remember on the slide with their Instagram page, there was a t-shirt and it says, superheroes drink superfood coffee. So what did we do? We highlighted and personalized the fact that coffee superheroes which they totally dug when they saw this, will now have an advanced loyalty program. And they were like, oh my gosh, we've never had this before. We've looked at other solutions and they're so expensive. This is awesome. Really easy slide, and that little touch of personalization really wowed them. Obviously, you can swap that picture out. If you don't have a picture of the company, you could always use their logo. You could always take the picture out and just center these two iPhone with the screen images, and you'll be okay. On the next slide, we talk about capturing more positive reviews from your Ginger Pirates. Again, remember on that Instagram picture that we had, the gentleman who was the CEO on the skateboard that had a t-shirt that said, "I'm a Ginger Pirate." So once again, we emphasize their brand. This should probably be the third or fourth most important slide in your deck, and being able to show the client how we're going to be able to capture more positive reviews. Obviously, on that second slide of the deck, we talk about like what people say, and then we're alluding to we're going to be able to help you get more reviews and take back your brand. Well, this is how we're going to do it. We also have some really cool stuff coming out in our Cardiff source code release that will be out this summer. That's going to be really great for you guys. But right now, you can create a website feature, and we have a couple help desk articles about this on how to take those URLs and put them in there so it automatically brings them from that first image to the second image, where it automatically gives them a 5-star rating. At this point, you can start to use geofencing and push note campaigns to reward people after you've done something. Maybe it's a restaurant that's done a happy hour, and send a push note afterwards to everybody and say, hey guys, how'd you enjoy happy hour, with a link directly to this feature, directly to either maybe their Facebook page, if that's where they want to generate some more activity. So always have outcomes for stuff like this. And for this one, this is an instant win for all of your clients. If they're not worried about reviews, they should be. Just remember that poor handicapped woman I talked about who couldn't get her coffee and how disgusted she was with the customer service. And the fact that 2 people thought that was helpful. If that's something your customer's dealing with and they're not addressing it, they got way more problems than just needing an application. But this is a good place to start. Emphasize positive here. We want good reviews. On this last slide in the second half of the presentation, where we talk about leveraging mobile solutions, we noticed that when we did a field audit for them, because they were close enough to our offices down here in San Diego to where we could do that, we talked to them earlier about like, how do you guys gather information? They're like, well, we have a fishbowl out in front of our carts at the farmer's market, and people drop in business cards. I probably know the answer to this one, and if the answer is no, please let me know in the chat. But how many of you have ever gone to a convention or somewhere and you've gotten a ton of business cards from people, and you've waited to enter in the information because that manual entry just wasn't appealing to you? Well, that's everybody. Trust me on that one. If you're a company like Superfood and all of a sudden you're going to look at collecting email addresses, and we're talking about like potentially 7,000 plus people who can download the app, and that's just 50% of their Instagram followers if they're that fanatic, right? That's a lot of email addresses to have to worry about and importing into like MailChimp or Constant Contact or iContact, or even just an Excel spreadsheet for you to use on your own. You really want to emphasize with your client that we're going to make it really easy, and that we have a couple different ways that we can collect information. We can either just collect the email address, or we can use the mailing list feature to be able to really capture some core data about who your core clientele group is. If they don't have a way to capture email addresses, or if that's not part of their marketing schemes, that's okay. I wouldn't necessarily push this upon them, but leave it open and say that it's an option. Maybe highlight a different feature on here that makes a little bit more sense towards their business. And now we're going to talk about the scores and quick wins, which is, in my humble opinion, the most important part of this presentation. Everything we've done up until now has been nothing but research and trying to tie in mobile solutions to this client's business. Now we're actually going to show them. There's 7 sections here in what we call a digital marketing assessment. We're assessing local search, are they found? Social media, reviews, loyal customers, engagement and communication, whether or not they have a mobile strategy, and overall customer experience. as you can see here, I have a ton of dummy questions filled out in 6 of the categories. With reviews, I actually kept in what we put in there for Superfood. And really the emphasis here is the score you always want for the business is a 10. Today's score is completely subjective based upon what you've seen today. I was having this conversation the other day with a client, and we were talking again about a coffee shop. If you look at that coffee shop, think about all the major coffee companies out there that have a Google My Business or they're found on local search. Bring up to them how these coffee companies are drowning out your potential business. If you're a local coffee company or even a pizza company, let's talk about pizza too. You look at companies like Pizza Hut, Domino's, Papa John's, Little Caesars. They have millions of dollars that they spend every year on print advertisement, TV advertisement, radio, digital, social media, mobile. They all have applications. Pizza Hut has those silly commercials where you can like squeeze your shoe or your armchair and like your pizza automatically orders. Domino's just did that great campaign with that young actor from Stranger Things and remade like the Ferris Bueller like cutscenes. And you know what? They're viral. They're very effective. So if you're Tony Pepperoni's Pizza, all of a sudden now you're struggling to keep up because these juggernauts are just destroying you in every facet. So this is the section where you tell that client, like, don't be so scared. Like, this is how we're going to be able to, help you get above everybody else and bring you to the top. And it starts with the local search. Are they found on Google? If so, how easily? Do they have a Google My Business page? Is it fully optimized? Are they getting reviews on Google? Are there more than 5 reviews? And do they have stars activated? You can also use these questions to help you kind of assess and analyze the client for the first couple ones. A lot of this stuff is just what you eyeball, but now we got to actually put it down into observations. Social media, tally up how many followers they have. Tell them how many people on Instagram, Facebook. Emphasize positively if they have a large following in one, but also emphasize if they don't have a large following in another that they should be, going after. For example, like a restaurant should have a killer Instagram page that shows like pictures of their food with really creative filters. And because people go on Instagram to visually look at something, they want that eye candy. On Facebook, maybe you're talking about a particular event that the restaurant is holding. Maybe it's a breast cancer walk lunch to raise money for Susan G. Komen, whatever it may be. So remember, social media has different areas that they target to. Are they nailing it? How's their engagement? If they have 10,000 fans and they're only getting 3 people to like any given post and 2 of them are probably employees, think of it like that. Is there going to be anything that automatically is a red flag for you? Is it like, well, you guys can get a lot better here. Let's start looking at what you did really well. Let's go back through your timeline. Okay, this was the type of post that people on this particular social media medium really liked, right? Do they have more engagement and more followers than their competition? Obviously, if you're a coffee shop, as another example, and you're going against like Starbucks, yeah, you're going to have a little bit of a rough time. But if you've also been a coffee shop for 20 years and you only have 5 followers on Facebook, I would expect a little bit more, right? So don't think of like an outrageous, like, okay, you need to get to 5 million followers, to be able to compete. No, that's not the case. They just need to have really good engagement. They need to have really meaningful posts in this social media area. And these are things you want to kind of think about as you're assessing them. If it's, hey, yeah, definitely can do better in social media, some push notification campaign should help with that. Maybe you bring up a story, or maybe you put it on the like store manager to do some cool Facebook Live stuff. Maybe it's the kitchen chef who's doing a quick, like, we're going to make a chicken noodle soup because the weather just got really cold, or something to that effect. Have a little fun with it. Put some imaginary, crafty ideas in there that they could potentially really love and say, wow, that's great. For reviews, obviously I left in here what we did for Superfood. We gave them kudos on the positive reviews. We told them to optimize their Google My Business page to leverage that organic SEO rank. We told them how to add reviews to their Facebook page, and we even gave them a link. We talked with them about creating a review campaign for the happy clients and claiming managing those Yelp pages that we looked at. So that way we can get more reviews, because we needed a lot more than that. We also talked about, how to coach your staff and how to ask, how to ask the happy people only to get reviews, not the mad ones, and how to leverage the app to ask that in the future. The possibilities in the review section are endless. The big thing is you definitely want to give them your observations on how many reviews there are and how good or bad are they. Also, if there's some quick wins you can give them, do it. Loyal customers, do they have any active loyalty programs? If so, does it look effective? Is it costing them a lot of money? Can you improve it, work with it? We were just talking with another client the other day who had a pizza place, and they had a loyalty program that they were really happy with, but they wanted to utilize the one on our platform. And the client didn't know how they could do that. And I was talking with the reseller, and I was like, well, what if they do like a specific loyalty campaign using only our loyalty platform? Maybe it's a GPS check-in, or maybe it's like a cute little scavenger hunt for the little kids using the QR coupon option, so that way you entice more people to use the application now in that practical sense, because they don't want to get rid of their other loyalty program for whatever reason. And that's okay. I don't see loyalty programs as an obstacle. I look at them as an opportunity, whether or not we can combine forces or if we can save them money if we do the same thing. Many of the times, if they have a really good loyalty company or a really expensive one, you're going to see a lot of stuff at their actual location or on their website. Whether it's like one of those iPads where you type your phone number in or something to that effect, you definitely want to look and find out, like I said earlier, if you can do a field audit, do it. If not, try and do as much discovery as you can before you get into that meeting. If not, use it as one of the questions. Maybe you pose the question of, is loyalty something that you feel like you're wasting money on? How effective is it for you? Do you have a high conversion rate for your clients when they're using loyalty? How often do they redeem points? Are any of the campaigns you're doing good? Maybe you can help them find some better campaigns to do with their existing loyalty program. If anything, it makes them rely on you a lot more. And potentially one day they look at now using our loyalty program and being able to utilize it to the fullest. For engagement and communication, you really want to highlight how well they talk with their clients. Do they have really good email marketing? Are they constantly getting good engagement on social media? If you walked into this location, is everybody pretty friendly? Are they talking with their customers as often as they can? You'll find that some verticals are more talkative than others. But in general, I think communication and engagement is a really important category, because if they're not reaching out to those clients, then they don't know who they are, and they can't potentially help their business get better by leveraging what you know about those clients. For mobile strategy, do they have one? Do they not? Do you think it's going to go over well for their clients? For example, if you're going after like a little kid gymnastics center, right? Where they do like tumbling and they do all this fun stuff. And for parents, it's all about the communication and all the classes that they can get them enrolled in. Of course, parents are going to love the app because it's one easy place that they can go to know what their kid's schedule is and what other programs they're doing, and if there's any other aspects of that business that they can, take advantage of. So put that in there, give them a little bit. And then overall customer experience, you don't necessarily have to take the average, but from the mystery shopping point of view, like, what would you say that your experience with this business and brand has been up to this point? Be honest with them, but drive them towards how much better it can be once they factor in a full mobile strategy. And then we talk about my favorite section, which is the investment. This is a really simple setup. Please feel free to modify any of these fields as much as you need to. If you want to modify how they're presented to, that's fine. Typically, showing the client what they're going to get before you start talking about the payment is going to get them really excited, and it lessens the blow a little bit. In the first section, the mobile solutions that is included is everything that you would normally do with your client: the mobile strategy blueprinting session, the app design and publishing, the optimized loyalty program, enhanced positive reviews, the improved client engagement, i.e. push notes and email capture, and then the 24/7 support and access to the CMS. Modify those as need be. The blueprinting session is no different than when you first meet with the client to go over what's going to be in their app and everything that's going to be contained there. Support, obviously, if you don't have 24/7 support, don't put that in there. Maybe instead of loyalty, if they're not going to go with it, highlight another feature like reservations, or maybe there's a really great like cross-marketing coupon section that you want to put in there. Under additional services, we did a field audit because they're so close, so we put that in there. If you can do it, by all means, highly recommend it. Always walk into the business and kind of get a feel for who they are from the second you walk in. Staff training posters is something that's going to be coming out to our platform with the Cardiff source code release here at the summer. So get really excited for those. For those who went to the Mobilize, they got a little sneak peek at what they look like. But that staff training poster is going to be a huge benefit for you. Also, just staff training in general. If you don't want to give them a poster, sit with the employees for 10 or 15 minutes and talk with them about how the app would be beneficial. Make them download the app and redeem some of the loyalty. Have them understand how it works. You guys are the dedicated advisor to guide them in their mobile success, and you should treat it as such. I have a question that came in about, what if I don't want to give them this much personal time? Because a lot of this sounds like it's going to take a lot of my time with my clients, and how is that scalable? To that particular question, modify everything that you want to do based upon what you can offer them. The more hands-on you can be with the client, the more they're going to trust you and the stickier they're going to be. One thing you do want to be not concerned about, but you want to have in the back of your mind is churn. You never want a client to leave you in any way, shape, or form. But if you become that trusted advisor, just like we wanted to be from the very beginning of this presentation, once again, they're going to be really endeared to you, and they're going to want to stick with you through thick and thin, good, bad, whatever other analogies you want to throw in there. So really take advantage of that one and tell them that you're going to be with them to walk them through not only marketing the app and having a strategy for it, which is that third bullet point, or even just being able to say, hey, I'm going to come by and I'm going to help your staff and get them trained. We're going to tell them how to have people download the application, where to go. I'm going to work with you on your social media posts and that first like bam post that says like, hey guys, we got an application. Also, like doing a little launch party at the location, whether or not it's like a yoga studio or a coffee shop or a pizza place or a restaurant or a burger joint. Like, be able to go in there and say, hey guys, we're going to have like a quick little party. Maybe it's appetizers or half off for the next hour, but only when you download the app and show us that you did it. So now you have everybody in the restaurant who's wanted to download the app or the burger place, whatever it may be. So get really excited about the additional services. This is also an area where you can upsell. I can't emphasize that enough. You could really expose them to some other things that they could pay for that ups your monthly. And then obviously the investment, the design and setup fee, and then the monthly maintenance. The design and setup fee, we did the industry standard, which is 50% up front and then 50% when the app is ready to publish, not when the app is published, when it is ready to publish. And then monthly maintenance, we have that there. And that's our presentation. It's fairly simple. We've actually done some fun little competitions in the office here to take random local San Diego businesses and just build the presentation out, just to kind of see how easy it would be for you guys. And we were really excited just because it really kind of gave us a really great, quick way to input everything and kind of check things out. So what I'll do now is I'll kind of open it up to questions here if you guys have any. I know we went a few minutes over, but I definitely want to open it up for questions, and I'll kind of wait a second to see how many come in. If you guys don't have any questions, though, what we can do is we can always have my contact information available after the presentation. You guys can always reach out to me. I'm always available here. I'm in at support. I'm the first shift in when we open up our support line at 6 a.m. Pacific. So always feel free to call in there. You can also feel free to write into support as well and reach out to us there. It looks like I have a question here about, can we modify this presentation to our colors and brand? Yeah. It doesn't have to look this basic. We wanted you guys to more focus on the client's branding rather than your own. That's why the only mention of your logo is the first page where it's the bottom right-hand corner. So at that point, I would really highlight, if you want to make this a lot prettier and maybe add some like background images and like color overlays, like by all means, go crazy with it. Just don't take away from the information that you're providing for the clients. It seems I got another question here. This is a great question about pricing. Let me see. I can't see all of it. Give me a second here, guys. Pricing wise, we recommend about $1,000 for design and setup, and then about $100 a month. We seem to see that that's a very good price level. I know a lot of other resellers that I talk to on a daily basis that charge a lot higher. So that's pricing wise. I normally say the bigger the build, the more you should charge, and the more hands-on you are, the more you should charge as well. So take that for what it is. What do you leave with the prospect after the meeting? Great question, Daniel. What do you leave with the prospect after the meeting? Once you get to that investment page, let me jump back to that and I'll tell you what I did with Superfood. We got to the investment page and then to the thank you, and we kind of wrapped it up and said how much fun we had with them today. And I said, if everything sounds good in that presentation, can I send you over a services agreement? We can get your app being built next week. And they said, yeah, that would be great. I wouldn't necessarily leave this with the prospect after the meeting, but I would always tell them that you're going to follow up with them, Daniel, and say that, I'm more than happy to send this over to you so you can check out those observations and quick wins, but also send over the contract so we can get you rolling and really employ your mobile solutions. Derek, great question. I'm going to give this to you in a PowerPoint. We don't have a Photoshop file for this. We built it in PowerPoint, but we'll give it to you in a PowerPoint file. Daniel, I wouldn't necessarily bring this out printed unless that's how you're looking at it with the client as well. How do you get the presentation template? Barry, I'm going to make that available. I can also make sure that we get this out not only in the Facebook forum, which if you guys haven't joined, write into support and ask how to get in there. Also, we're going to be making this available in your partner dashboard under the Getting Started section here very soon, hopefully within the next week or two. But for those who want it, reach out to support and say, hey, can I have that presentation that Nick talked about in the webinar, and I'll make sure to get that out to you guys. When would this be available for download? Lonnie, great question. Right away. Is this being recorded for Vimeo? Can it be seen again? Nathaniel, yes, it is recorded, and we will post this in, I do believe, the Facebook forum. I don't know about Vimeo, but I can always find out for you guys. That looks to be a good majority of the questions. Oh man, you guys are rapid firing. Presentation file I've already answered. If they're interested in the app, what's the next step? I think I kind of covered that one, Daniel, as well. Hit them with the services agreement. And then would you recommend getting on Yelp now? Jana, great question. With knowing what you know, I always highly recommend getting on Yelp. Yelp is still a huge area where people can really hop in there and check out a business. Most people go to Yelp first. And most of the time, Yelp aggregates people. So when you do like a local search for like pizza in San Diego, right after the local pack, it's gonna be like top 10 pizza places in San Diego, and it's done by Yelp. So you always want to have a presence on places where people can review you. What do you recommend for a circle back time? The client sees the presentation. John, that's a great question. It's getting a little cut off for me. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger here. Sorry, guys, trying to make these questions a bit bigger. I'm not, but John, shoot me an email into support, John, and I'll answer that question for you. But in terms of a circle back time, I normally give them about a week. I think a week is long enough, and that's about 5 business days. If you make the presentation towards the end of the week, give them the weekend plus Monday or Tuesday. Typically, Tuesdays are the day everybody kind of settles down after the weekend if they're not open Saturday or Sunday. Most small businesses are. What industry is the biggest within BA? JC, great question. Restaurants are a really good one. What is on your contract? Jana, that's a really great question. We actually have a white labeled services agreement that I would be more than happy to send to you and make that available as well. We're actually going to put that in the partner dashboard under the Getting Started section as well. We realized that was something we can offer for you guys. As a general thought here, we cannot give you any legal advice, but we can completely offer you a sample that you will need to thoroughly vet and consult with an attorney with to make sure it abides by all your state and local rules. So we'll be more than happy to provide a sample for you guys to look at. And then Derek, another great question. What is the relationship like from the client to your technical support? I can't see the latter half of that, Derek. I apologize. In terms of that one, the relationship in tech support, I would always be really hands-on with them up to the point where they publish. If you generally find that anything's wrong, have the client email you or call you and dig into it. If it's something you definitely think that's on their end, figure out what it is and resolve the issue with them. If it's something you can't figure out, that's why our support team's always here. And that is a pretty good idea on the relationship. It also depends too if you're more hands-on with the client, if you're hands-off. If you're hands-off with the client, you always want to be available for tech support in case they have questions. If you're hands-on, you're going to be the one who's running into the technical support after they experience the issue. So you definitely want to be able to leverage us to be able to assist you. Do you have a service agreement template? Joe, I did respond to that one already in terms of Jana's question. And then Derek, this is another good one. What medium does the client respond to better, print or digital presentations? That's a really good one. For Superfood, we brought a large monitor to their office because they didn't have a conference room and they had a really small office. They had a little kitchen and a production area where they created their product. So I definitely think if possible, digital, bring it on an iPad or be able to pull it up on your phone if your phone's large enough. I know some phones are big enough to be tablets nowadays. So that would not be a bad idea. But if you have to, print is not bad at all. It just means you have to be a little bit more hands-on with the presentation. Believe it or not, my dad's been selling for a very long time. He still uses one of those old school prop boards that he literally peels the pages back, and he has his presentations pre-printed or pre-handwritten on there. He has handwriting like a computer, so he can do that. Barry, this is a no demo presentation. We did not bring them a demo app at all. We talked them through mobile solutions. When we closed it, when we said we'll get your app ready next week, that was the app that they were going to look at. So they were already going forward with the build. So we did not do a demo for them, and that saved us a lot of time. Amy, great question. What happens if you find out the client has a ChowNow app? First, have them Google ChowNow and find out about all the really not nice reviews that are out there about them. I think they have a really great platform. If they're using that, we can always integrate it. I mean, ChowNow utilizes a web feature. You can always put that into the website feature and utilize that within the application, so that way the clients are still going into the ChowNow to be able to make the orders. If there's any way, Amy, that you can convert them to our food ordering platform, that would probably save them a lot of money. I know ChowNow charges per transaction. I think they charge based upon how the client orders the food as well, whether or not it's through the app or the website. But look into that one. That's great. Daniel, do you expect them to get on board within a week's time? In this case, Superfood did. I would always put the deadlines on the client, because if you keep it open, then it becomes really troublesome. Are you still using the proposal? Yeah, we are. It works really well. In this case, Superfood was a vendor, so we used it for our vendor. That's generally the presentation we'll use if we ever have another vendor who signs up or something to that effect. Daniel and Derek, these are going to be my last two questions, gentlemen. What do you do if the prospect does not answer in a week time? Do you give up on them? No, Daniel, you got to be persistent. It may take a couple times to follow up, but you definitely got to never give up on a client. Just because they don't answer in a week, hit them with a follow-up and say, hey, just wanted to check in on you. We had a great presentation last week, and I just wanted to see whether or not you wanted to go forward with it, and just keep finding out what they're doing. If they keep dodging the bullet, then try and figure out what the problem is, or maybe it's a money situation. Try and dig into that one and tell them, like, hey, like we're both business owners. Like, if you don't want to go with my business, like, don't leave me hanging. Like, I really enjoyed our presentation, but at the same time, like, I would love to be able to just move on and, work with some other potential clients. But if not, I really want to devote my time towards you. And then Derek, last question for the day, guys. Do you recommend bringing technology to the first meeting? I look at it this way. You guys sell mobile applications. I know that technology is a big, 1-2 punch with that stuff. So if you can bring an iPad or something to that effect, I've also seen paper presentations that are absolutely outstanding and that they work really well. Also, key on who the client is. If the client is a 78-year-old pizza shop owner who doesn't even have a updated register that has Wi-Fi, and he's still, it looks like an old typewriter, and he's still doing all of his cash transactions and he doesn't take credit cards, you're probably better off bringing some print in. So do you recommend bringing technology to the first meeting, Derek? If the client calls for it, totally. And I think that's a great place to stop. Guys, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. This has been recorded, so we will get this up on the Facebook group, and I'll see if we can get it up on Vimeo. But very much enjoyed talking with you guys about this particular subject, and I look forward to speaking with you guys soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and happy selling.